It's an honor being here at Eric and Holly's wedding, giving the best man speech. I first met Eric when I was dating his mom, Beth. Lance and I have always been close. And initially, I thought our relationship went back to kindergarten. But after doing extensive genealogy research, it is very feasible that our relationship goes back multiple centuries. Let me explain. I remember meeting Jay at work. My first memory of Jay was when we were in the break room and he was freaking out about an upcoming mandatory drug test. Todd and Kimberly, I am so happy the two of you found each other. I actually wrote most of tonight's speech 4 years ago when Todd was originally engaged to his high school sweetheart, Shannon. I always knew Lance was Irish because of his last name, Sullivan. But when I discovered that Lance's maternal grandmother was Polish, I became cautiously ecstatic because my ancestors are from the Czech Republic, which borders Poland. To clarify, I'm only 5 years older than Eric, and I'm only 15 years younger than Beth. Now, interestingly, when Beth and I first started dating, people didn't think there was much of an age gap because Beth fake baked and her skin was darker and she looked younger. Fast forward to today, and Beth hasn't really aged well, so now she looks more like 30 years older than me, give or take a year or two. Jay was frantic, and I was like, I can get you someone else's urine if you'd like. You should have seen the look on his face. He was instantly at peace. No, that's how I always see him when he's around you, Ashley. It took me almost 2 years, 2 years, to track down the immigration records of Lance's great-grandparents. In the end, though, this proved to be invaluable because that's how I discovered that Lance's family is originally from Racibórz, Poland. Or so I thought. To say that Todd was shocked and heartbroken when Shannon called off the wedding days before the ceremony would be an understatement. Just like it'd be an understatement to say that Kimberly's a rebound. You know, to continue with the basketball analogy, if you don't mind, Shannon was a slam dunk. I mean, to this day, I still think the two of you could have made it, Todd. But compared to Shannon the slam dunk, Kimberly's more of that shot you take right before halftime when there's only 1 second left on the clock and you just chuck it up with one arm and you're not even sure it's gonna hit the backboard. Yeah, that's Kimberly. So Jay gives me $100 and I give Jay some of my urine. The turning point came when I met with Lance's oldest living relative, Mary Kowieski, Lance's great-great-aunt. What a privilege. Lance hasn't even met her, but the flight across the US was worth it because in meeting with Mary, she informed me that her grandfather, Lance's great-great-grandfather, was from a small village in Poland. Folks, Racibórz is not a small village. So there I was in my early 20s dating someone in her late 30s whose teenage son needed to pass algebra in order to graduate from high school. Now, as fate would have it, I took algebra 3 years in a row and it was somewhat fresh in my mind, so it just made sense that I would be the one to tutor Eric. Shortly after Todd and Kimberly started dating, Todd said to me, "Shannon ripped my heart out. She took it out and she'll always have it. But Kimberly has stitched the hole in the shirt that Shannon punched through on her way towards ripping out my heart. There's still a void. There's still an emptiness. There's still massive bleeding. But the hole in my shirt has been patched." I'll never forget when he said that. And looking back on it, Kimberly, that shirt you stitched has proven to be quite the amazing tourniquet. And I know there are some of you out there who are thinking, you shouldn't use a tourniquet unless you know what you're doing. You knew exactly what you were doing, Kimberly. The next week, Jay and I both failed our drug test. I guess if you think about it though, I failed twice. But Jay didn't want his money back. 12 hours later, I'm eating pierogies in the small village of Kielce, a mere 45 kilometers or 27.97 miles from the small Czech village of Cieszyn, where my ancestors are from. Eric and I started bonding as we realized how much we had in common. At the same time, Beth and I started to realize we didn't have anything in common, besides Eric. You know, when Beth and I first started dating, I wondered if there'd ever be a day when Eric would call me Dad. And then after we broke up, I started wondering if Eric would ever call me friend. Well, thankfully, the answer to that question is a resounding yes. Over time, it became more and more obvious that Todd should be with Kimberly and not Shannon. To the point where I finally said to Todd, hey, you've got to stop asking Kimberly to dress up in Shannon's old clothes. Who are you, Cary Grant from Vertigo? No one seen it? Okay, you should really watch it. My joke will make a lot more sense once you do. Could it be that at one point, 400 years ago, Lance's family crossed paths with my family across the Czech border? If it was in our family's blood to travel thousands of miles across the Atlantic Ocean in the 1800s, isn't it reasonable to believe that our family members would have traveled 27.97 miles across the Polish-Czech border to interact with each other? My family's last name is Prochaska, which means traveling salesman. Did my family members sell wool to Lance's family? Did they create a bond? Did they become friends? Did one of Lance's family members give one of my family members smallpox? Jay could have easily asked for his money back. But he is true to his word. That's why I believe him when he said all those things during his wedding vows. Ashley, let's just say you're in for a wonderful marriage. Get it? So in the end, I lost a girlfriend and I gained a best friend. Eric and Holly, when you have children, I won't be their grandfather, but there's still a chance I could be their godfather, which is a great thing. Because ultimately, I dodged a bullet when Beth and I broke up. But in the end, I gained a friendship that's bulletproof. Now all I needed was a DNA sample and a couple of permits from the Czech and Polish governments to exhume the remains from a few of their cemeteries. Todd, I never thought you would be happy again, but you have truly found the woman who brings you joy and peace. I'm so happy for the two of you. So let's raise our glasses to this amazing couple, Todd and Shannon. Kimberly, to Todd and Kimberly. Turn me over. And I was finally like, I can get you a sample of someone else's urine if you'd like. You should have seen the look on his... Jay was frantic, and I was finally like, I can get you a sample of someone else's urine if you'd like. You should have seen the look on Jay's face. So Jay gives me $100, and I give Jay some of my urine.